You took a risk. You made that big hire because you believed it was going to grow your business or help you scale yourself as a leader. This new team member was supposed to essentially make your business or company more money. It was going to get you out of the weeds, get you out of the day to day, get you more. And so you took a risk, you took a gamble, and you made that hire. Now, 3 months later, you're looking at your watch thinking, oh my God, did I make a mistake? This person just hasn't, created that ROI that I needed them to. And you start to think, am I a bad leader? Is this the wrong person? What am I going to do? And clients come to me, whether they have 2 employees or 2,000, with this same problem. Whether you are a business owner or you are a corporate manager, I get people asking me this every single day. I think I hired the wrong person, or I don't know. What do I do? Help me. Well, I call this the hiring hangover, and it's what we're going to talk about today on Managing Made Simple. Welcome to Managing Made Simple, a real talk podcast about the ins and outs of leading a team. I'm Lia Garvin, your host, and bring a decade of experience driving team operations in places like Google, Apple, and Microsoft on a mission to make leading your team easier. From delegating to feedback to one-on-ones and more, each week is a mini masterclass on making leading your team easier. Whether you're managing 1 person or 100, everyone is welcome to hang out on Managing Made Simple. The hiring hangover. This is that feeling that you have, 90 days in when someone starts and you're really excited. You invested a lot of time in posting the job description and interviewing candidates and bringing your team along and really making sure everyone's on the same page, and then hiring someone and onboarding them. And then you look and you're like, I don't know. I think I messed up. I don't think it's the right person. And I've seen this literally in companies of any size. And I share that because as you're listening, if you're thinking, well, if I'm a business owner, I don't know and I hear this every day, and we start to question everything about ourselves. We start to think this person, they're not the right fit. And the bigger issue is the rest of your team is impacted by this. If someone is not a right fit or is not pulling their weight, that frustrates the rest of your team. That's why we got to deal with this, because it's not just a you and that person's problem, it's everyone's problem. And I know I've mentioned it before, but there is nothing more expensive than rehiring, especially. Gallup's reported it costs between 50 and 200% of someone's salary to rehire them. So let's say you bring in a senior hire, 100,000 or more a year, they're paying them. That could cost you $200,000 to replace that person. That's huge. So that's why I'm going to get it right. And that's why I'm talking about the hiring hangover and not making rash decisions when you start to feel, I don't know if they're a fit. I should just let them go. I should move on. Because when you are experiencing the hiring hangover, the reason for this 9 times out of 10, and again, business owners come to me, 2 employees, 2,000. I saw this in same thing when I worked at Google, 100,000 employees, this same issue. It's because you brought in an extra pair of hands instead of an owner. And when you do that, it is impossible for that team member to contribute to the ROI, to make up for the money that they're costing, to scale your company, to scale your team, to get you out of the weeds. It is impossible to do that if they're just operating as an extra pair of hands. Not to mention, that person probably doesn't want to do that long term. I think a lot of us may be okay doing that early in our career, just kind of playing fetch with tasks, going and getting stuff done. Maybe we've joined in an administrative capacity and we're great. Like, give me a list of stuff and I'm going to check off the boxes. But when you want a long-term person, especially a senior hire, and you're wanting them to scale you, get you out of the day-to-day, allow you to do more, that is where we cannot have a bunch of employees that are just doing extra tasks here and there. Again, this is why you're not getting that ROI, because you have asked someone to do just the things that you've thought of already, just the things you're aware of, and go and play fetch and come back. I've talked about on the show the difference between delegating and dispatching. right? Delegating is handing off ownership of a full task. Dispatching is asking someone to go play fetch, go follow up on this email, go send the meeting notes, go ask this person something, come back to me. When you do that, every single time they come back to you, you are still involved. And the person is not bringing that ROI because you have asked someone to do something and you're also doing it. So that job that you're paying someone else to do, you're both doing it. And because you're both doing it, you as that leader are not able to actually use your time for something else. That is the reason you're not having the ROI that you thought, because you hired someone and you still did that job. I want that to sink in for a minute. Every time you're in the same meeting as a team member that could be running something. Okay, I'm not talking about one-on-ones where you're in the same meeting. That's a critical meeting to be having. When a team member is running a project, driving something, meeting with a client, and you're also in that meeting to add context or anything else or just know what's going on, you are both doing that job. It's two people for one job for the price of two. And your price is probably a lot higher than your employees. And you are, instead of using the value of you as that business owner, as that leader, instead of using that value somewhere else, you are losing that and just doubling up on the task of that other team member. And you are treating them as an extra pair of hands. Again, I really want this to sink in because I think it can feel abstract. I think it can feel like, well, I need to be in the know, or I'm in a lot of meetings, or I can do emails at night or whatever. But the time, every minute that you spend doing work that a person you hired is also doing or should be doing. This could be meetings. This could be reviewing reports. This could be answering questions. This could be making decisions. This could be giving sign off. Anything that a team member could be doing and you are paying them to be doing. So money's going out and you still do it too. That is dollars you are losing every single minute. Because of course it is. You have someone, Joey, who is supposed to do that job, and Joey's getting paid $20 an hour, $100,000 a year, whatever it is, to do that job. Joey is still getting paid, even though you're also still doing it. And that time you're taking takes you away from whatever the heck else you could be doing. This is real, my friends. This is expensive. And it's not an option to get out of this, hey, go fetch or doubling up. It's not an option. Your business will not be able to sustain having a team if you are continuing to double up on everything. And if you're thinking to yourself, because Lord knows I've thought this before, well, I can't let that person just run with it. They're not ready. If I'm not checking in, they're going to drop the ball completely. That means you got a lot more to do on training that person and on instilling this sense of ownership and what that actually looks like, on spelling it out, what that job means, what success looks like, what it means to complete the job so that they can get a raise or a bonus or promotion. A lot of times our team members don't operate as owners because they still keep getting raises and bonuses and all these things, even though we have major issues with the way that they're working, because we've avoided giving feedback and we don't really know, is this something I can ask for, or I kind of still want to be involved? No. And this is why my Ops Playbook is my most popular program I support business owners with, because in that, whether you have 3 employees or 30 or 3,000, I build for you the systems for making sure everybody is onboarded in the same way. Everybody understands how they are contributing to the business. Everyone understands how they actually grow. Everyone understands what they're supposed to be doing to be operating as owners, so that you as the business owner doesn't have to be doing everything. It is this tool that replaces you in your business in the way that you have been desperately seeking for, because that's why you hired these people in the first place. And when I implement the Ops Playbook and everyone is clear, here's how we operate in this business, here's how things get done, that is the moment your team members shift from an extra pair of hands to owners, because you have spelled out and put on paper what it actually means to be successful, what it means to do a good job. And it's a critical shift. And it starts saving businesses 20, 30 hours a month. This is tens of thousands of dollars that they can reinvest back in their business. And it's the same thing for corporate teams. If you're a manager and you're in a big company and you feel like, well, we have all these systems we have to abide by anyway, it's the same thing. You still have to make sure your team members are clear on what a good job looks like. I don't care if your team, if your company has a big corporate rubric for their performance review. What does it look like on this project? What does it look like in the day-to-day? How does that team member take ownership so that you're not getting pulled in? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a corporate manager and you are operating at too low, like in the weeds and the details, you're going to get bad employee feedback and you're never going to get promoted to the next level for yourself. So we've all got to solve this problem. And creating owners is truly about handing off the entire project, including the final outcome. Let's take, for example, someone is planning an event for a company. Saying to them, okay, you are going to plan this event end to end. This means researching venues, catering, supplies, decor, whatever it is, figuring out a budget, run the budget by me for approval if necessary, or you have up to $5,000 for the whole event or 50, whatever it looks like. We got to operate within these constraints. Here are some of the things that we've done in the past that have been really successful. The event, you are responsible for booking all of the vendors, for getting a photographer, for hiring people to help with day of setup. And success for this event looks like we have X number of people in attendance. This is the survey feedback they give us at the end. You literally define all of it and then say, okay, now go run with it. And we can meet about it weekly or bi-weekly to talk about progress. I can unblock you, but you are owning all of the decisions that go behind it. That is ownership. Not, hey, go research a few venues and let me know and I'll pick one. Hey, go find a couple options here and I'll pick one. No, it's bring me something to react to only as a person that's going to be a sounding board or to unblock you, but you are owning this end to end. This is game changing. Let's say you're putting together a big pitch for a client. Okay, let's say you run a marketing or an advertising agency and you're putting together and you ask a team member, hey, you're going to run this one. Okay, I usually do the pitches and pulling together strategy documents. You're going to run this. Go back through. Here's the three most successful strategy docs so you get a sense of how we shape the layout, how we shape the narrative, everything that goes into it. Put it together. We're going to own it end to end. The design, the content, the prep, and then delivering it to the client. Maybe you usually deliver it to the client, or maybe you're going to tag team or whatever it looks like. You're going to say, you're going to own this thing end to end. Success looks like this. And then we're going to review it before we send it off to the client, and then we're good to go. Now you are not thinking about that client pitch the entire week, wondering if it's done or not. You can use that brain space for something else. And this is where, like I said, your team becomes the thing that scales you because you are completely freed up to do something else. It doesn't mean you never check in with your team. It doesn't mean you don't know about what they're doing. It means you have put some guardrails and beats to check in with them. Sure, so they're supported. But you are not owning the thinking about it. There's a concept in the parenting space called fair play. And it is a concept of when you hand off responsibilities like, hey, someone's going to take care, one of the parents are going to take care of signing kids up for camps or whatever schools or activities. And if one of the parents says, okay, I can sign up the kid for camp, but make me a list of all the camps, what all the lunches are going to be, what all this, if one of them is still like setting up the whole thing detail by detail and then having to answer every question, you still carry that mental load. And if you're a parent, maybe this will resonate with you, right? When you're out and the other parent calls you and you're out with your friends or you're on a trip and you're in a business trip or whatever, you're busy, you're in your own space. They are a completely fully capable parent and they call you and they ask, hey, do we have pants like for our kid? Like, yes, of course we have pants. Where are the pants? Do they need a jacket? What should the snack be? And they're asking you all this stuff. That person is not owning it. They're an extra pair of hands babysitting your kid while you're doing something else. We're doing the same thing with our teams. We're doing the same thing with our jobs. So if we want to fix this thing, if we want to remove the mental load so that we can free ourselves up for actually scaling ourselves, for making more money, this is how we do it. We hand off ownership end to end. And then we get that ROI on that team member. Then we get rid of this hiring hangover and we never have it again. And so it's shifting from I hired someone, now I'm hoping they magically bring that ROI that I was hoping, to I hired someone, I made it clear exactly how to be an owner. I am there for when they need something and I check in. I still have insight and visibility, but they own the decisions and I am empowering them to do that. And it may take shadowing you on a few projects or another team member or giving a lot of feedback up front to make sure that they're really off and running. But this is the shift that will unlock your teams to be able to bring in an infinite amount of growth for you. You're always going to hit a ceiling if you have not created the space for your team members to be owners. And if it's feeling, I like it, but it's abstract, this is what the ops playbook is for. This is why it is game changing, because it is the tool that defines how to be an owner, how to operate in this way so that you can get out of the details, out of the day-to-day. And it works whether you have 3 or 300 employees, because we all need clarity. We all need systems. We all need that structure. And when you have that clarity, this is when you reach your full potential. So if you want to learn more, reach out at liagarvin.com/contact. And this is going to be the biggest shift. No more hiring hangovers. No more wondering, is it me? Is it them? It's the system. It's needing this sense of ownership. And I'm telling you, this shift, doing this even with your current employees where you feel like, wait, I think there's opportunity here. This is going to unlock so much growth. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope this podcast makes leading your team feel just a little bit easier. And if you're looking for more support for yourself as a leader or for the team you're managing, don't hesitate to reach out at liagarvin.com.